Villagers can't craft unless you give them wheat, in which case they make bread. This tells us they have at least a 3x1 crafting table, and the question is, could we beat Minecraft if we had that bare minimum? That would mean no crafting, swords, tools, or even furnaces, and that seems impossible, but as a newly formed villager, I feel like I have to try this. So spawning in, I found my spawn world was very bland, but I quickly found some very high ground and climbed it looking for any structure that had a chest. This one isn't the best, but it will technically do, although I can't use it to mine emerald ore, which makes me go. Anyway, on day 2, I realized that I wasn't going to be able to cross this ocean, not just for lack of a crafting table, but also for lack of the ability to make a boat. I would argue I should be able to make a raft, but I can't, and so I luckily found this ruin nearby with a stone axe and a fishing rod, which kept me fed, as well as away from being dead. I then found a village to rest my head, and despite my ability to craft bread, I knew so much light ahead, because despite my early wins, I still needed to go to the Nether, defeat some big mobs, and then come back to the overworld, and all of that was going to be reliant on a bucket. There were 4 places I could search for it in, and I decided on the one friendliest to my kind, and so when a savannah village I did find, I was absolutely ecstatic, but they didn't have a bucket, and so all of their wood got mined. You know, maybe I'm not a villager, maybe I'm actually a pillager, but in either case, I went to another village where they did have a bucket, and so everyone was fine before we went to the Nether, using the bucket to make ourselves a portal. You don't need a diamond pickaxe, but going to the Nether with what we had seems ridiculous, but the truth is, despite my lack of ability to make a crafting table, I could still use one to make slabs, which got me all around most of the Nether, as well as able to use it to prevent most dangers. This was incredible, and so led to me getting all of the blaze rods nice and early. Then I used my silk touch pickaxe, which wasn't able to mine emeralds, to mine nether gold, which could be smelted straight for ingots. But where do I find a furnace? I know that's the next question. We need to smelt these somehow, and I cannot craft one myself, and so I went looking for one of these, an igloo. And although it took a couple of days, I did find one eventually, and I used it to smelt all of my gold in before going back to the Nether, where I needed to attract a lot of piglins. And so how did I do that? Well, opening this bastion chest seemed to do the job. I grabbed a crossbow from here, and then had a bunch of customers who were all very eager to give me ender pearls, and with those in hand, I was able to combine them to make IF Enders, and those led me to a stronghold, a structure I'm intimately familiar with because they usually end up underneath my house. Oh, isn't that weird? But anyway, now it was just me versus the dragon, and this might seem like a ridiculous set of tools to go in with, but the truth is, the dragon is actually all about surviving her damage, whether you have a ridiculously enchanted netherite sword, or a terrible spear, or even just your fist doesn't really matter here, and so after a long fight, I managed to defeat the dragon in just 15 days as a villager, and I've got to say, this challenge was a lot of fun, and so let me know if you have ideas for the next one.